Hey friend, welcome back to another tutorial by Procreate Bundle. This is Millie. In this video, we will make a watercolor floral arrangement with ready-made flower stems, a flower arrangement template, and a limited palette. Everything that is used in making this piece is linked in description. As usual, you can download the color palette and reference image for free. I also have a similar video that teaches you how to paint a simpler floral arrangement without using any special brushes like watercolor, and I'll link that here for you too. By the way, I have an amazing giveaway for 3 lucky participants to win my bestseller, Effortless Watercolor Pack for Procreate, which we'll be using for this painting as well, so stay till the end to learn how to participate. For this project, we'll be using my Effortless Watercolor Pack. The first thing we're gonna do is to open the canvas with built-in watercolor paper textures to make it easier to add that realistic watercolor look. And I want you to add a new layer on top of the paper overlay layer, and we'll start the color picking process for this entire illustration first. We're gonna select a light red color as a base or dominant color for the main flowers. And after that, we will just add 2 lighter shades by moving diagonally to the upper left and swatch these beside the dominant color. And when you're done, just press the dominant color again to select it, and then we will add 2 darker shades by sliding the picker diagonally to the bottom right. Swatch these beside the dominant color as well. And then just repeat these steps for the colors for the leaves and the detail flowers. Okay, the next step is not necessary, but you can create a new color palette for these swatches and place it to the side for easy access. You can also just use the swatches from the canvas just by pressing on them to pick the colors if you wish. Now that we're done with colors, it's time to build the framework for our painting. Luckily, we don't have to do it from scratch. Just select the partial wreath 4 from my 40 floral arrangement pack for the framework. And before stamping it on the canvas, make sure you choose the middle green color. Choosing the main color the painting is gonna be in just saves us some work later on. Okay, when you're done, just resize the arrangement and place it in the center. Now let's use the Rosette Rose top and Rosette Rose front from my 58 Botanist Flowers Procreate stamps to fill in the circles. Similarly, choose the center red color for the flowers before stamping, and make sure they're stamped on separate layers and resize them accordingly. Now we got the sketch, we'll just start painting then. Select the left main flower and lower its opacity. Toggle off all the other layers. Add a new layer below the stamp and color pick the lightest red color on the palette. Use the wet sponge dab brush to add a light wash to the flower. And don't worry if it looks patchy or imperfect, we'll build layers on top later. We need to add a new layer and use the hard edge brush and paint the base of the petals. Try avoiding the tips as much as possible. In another new layer, use the next coral shade to add shadows to the base of the petals, and that's 1 shade darker. After the coloring is done, just group all these layers together and flatten them for this main flower. Use the blender brush with the smudger tool, that's the hand sign, to blend some of the awkward overlaps. Try not to overblend so that we keep these precious textures that we just built. Alright, next we're gonna toggle on the other main flower and erase the overlapping outlines. Repeat the same steps for the other main flower, except that we want to use the second lightest shade of red to start. We want the colors to be a little different, otherwise it'll be hard to tell them apart. I'll sum up the process for you here if you forgot. First, light wash with wet sponge dab brush, then base color with hard edge brush, then shadow, and then blend. Now the main flowers are completed, we'll move on to the leaves. Toggle on the arrangement layer and reduce its opacity, and start erasing the parts that overlap with the main flowers. You can also take this opportunity to erase some elements that you don't want to include in the final artwork. Let's add a new layer below the arrangement, and you can do everything in the single layer. Because leaves aren't as important or as complicated as flowers, and chances are you won't really mess up, so you don't need many layers. And I want you to repeat the same steps as the flowers. Color pick the second lightest green color and paint the leaves on the left and right side. Repeat the same steps for the bottom leaves, except use the middle shade of green to start. And then use the next shade of green, that's one shade darker, to add the shadows. Then, using the lightest coral shade, painting the tiny flowers, and use the third shade for the center of the flower. Then let's just blend the arrangement layers now, and use the blender brush with the smudger hand tool, and try not to overblend to keep the textures as usual. You can stop here if you're happy with the way it looks, but I want to show you a few simple tricks to take the painting to the next level in just a minute or so. Use the selection tool and select some random parts of the arrangement layer. Then tap Feather and set it to about 20%. Go to Adjustments, then tap Hue, Saturation, and Brightness, and tweak the colors a little bit by playing with the sliders. This way we get to introduce some color variations, just to make the illustration look more interesting. Repeat the same steps for the main flowers as well if you want. As a finishing touch, we will just introduce a little bit more watercolor texture. Add a new layer on top of everything and set it to multiply. And make sure to reduce its opacity as well. And then use whatever you want. I'm just using Add Texture Stamp 1 and Splatter 3 brushes to add a little texture on top. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. As promised, I have a giveaway of my 27 best-selling watercolor brushes. To enter, all you need to do is like this video, then subscribe to this channel with notification turned on, and comment what else you want to learn about Procreate next. I publish a new video every couple of weeks, so I promise I won't spam you. I'll pick 3 random people to win the giveaway in 4 weeks' time on Instagram at Procreate Bundle. I have many other tutorials in watercolor, oil, acrylic, gouache, and many more are coming, so I hope you'll have fun watching and painting. Until next time. Ciao!